We're going to start installing the accessory drive system. I'm going to start with the air conditioning compressor bracket, which goes on the left side of the engine, mounts to the head right here. And we'll start by putting some anti-seize on the bolts and starting it on. Now there's 3 bolts. A couple of them are kind of hard to see back behind, but they're actually on studs, 7/16 studs, and put a little bit of anti-seize on them, tighten them on down. And the compressor bracket is now installed. We're not going to use the original New York type air compressor, but we are going to use a Sandin that uses an adapter that sits up here and adapts it to the round rotary type compressor. Next, we need to install the other part of the power steering bracket, and it mounts just like this. As you can see, I've put the nut on. I got to pull that bolt back out. But this spacer used to go behind here on the non-air conditioned application, but since this one's going to be air conditioned, we'll leave the spacer out because the air conditioning bracket makes up for that extra space. And now we'll install the other portion of the power steering bracket. Lines up with these holes on the water pump. This stud comes through it but doesn't connect. The large bolt will go through here, 2 bolts over here, and then we'll mount the power steering bracket below. Now we're going to install the crank pulley. I got it all painted and cleaned up. We've got 4 holes right here on this harmonic balancer, 4 holes on the pulley, 4 bolts, easy enough. Let's get to work. And now we're going to install the power steering pump. It goes right up into the bracket. We need to put this adjuster in through the hole first, and then wiggle it around till we can get it up in the adjusters. And then start a couple of these nuts. And hopefully our angle, looks like our angle of the dipstick tube is good. And we'll finish tightening it down once we get the pulley and the belts installed. Okay, we went ahead and hooked all the hoses up and made our connections on the back side of the power steering pump. We're going to go ahead and install the pulley. And if you've never done this before, this is just a press-on pulley. There's no splines or anything on there. You just press it onto the shaft. Well, there's a tool you can buy or rent. This one here is a snap-on version. And you put it through the pulley. Put the pulley in place first. Put it through the pulley. Thread the smaller threads into the pump. And once you've got some decent engagement, you'll hold this one and turn this one. So we will hold that one and rotate this one. And it'll press the pulley onto the shaft. Feels like it's moving pretty good. So now we're going to go ahead and back the tool off, and as you can see behind the tool, the pulley is now flush with the inner shaft. So we know the pulley is all the way installed, and if we look down the ways, we're dead even with the pulley it's supposed to ride on. Top off the power steering system with some automatic transmission fluid, because that's what it called for back then. And I'm going to give the pulley a spin, see if I can get it to pump a little bit. Starting to feel a little bit of resistance. Don't see any leaks yet, that's good. And now we'll put the dipstick in there. It's cleaned up just a little bit here before I put it in there. This is the original dipstick and reservoir for the truck. Beautiful. So next I'm going to install the alternator and alternator brackets. We had to install these two water pump bolts in order to do the engine run for the break-in, but these actually hold the alternator bracket in place. So we're going to have to take these off. We'll go ahead and take those bolts that we just took out. We'll put them back in through this bracket. I'll leave them just a little bit loose because I'm going to have to get this alternator and the spacer. There's a spacer that goes behind the alternator to hold it out just a little ways. You can see the spacer right here, the factory part, and this goes back behind like that. And I told you a little bit wrong. Before this bottom one goes in, it has to go through the adjuster bracket on the back side of this one. Oops. This is live. Easy enough to fix. And we'll tighten everything down. And now we can put this water pump pulley on. It's pretty easy, straightforward. Might be a little tight on the center because of the new paint, but we'll just get the holes lined up. Push it on. Takes 4 bolts. And these may have to come back off when we put the fan on, but that's okay. The only remaining part is the part of the compressor bracket that goes right here. However, I'm going to still need to get into the distributor and all that, so I'm going to hold off on installing this part and wait till we get the fuel injection installed, and then we'll mount it up there. So we went and got a couple belts. Got one for the water pump and power steering, and there's a separate belt for the alternator. We got this one installed, and then we're going to tighten this nut till we get the proper tightness. Almost there. Got about a 1/2 inch of deflection. Right there. And then we'll tighten up these. I'm missing one. I'm going to have to pick up another one tomorrow. But once we tighten these up, power steering and water pump pulleys, good. And we got the alternator belt on there as well and tightened down. So we got what we can get done, finished with today. Well, thanks for coming along today and joining me during all the work and progress we made on the Highboy project. I hope you enjoyed it as much as I did, and stay tuned for more. We hope to be getting a lot further on this project soon. Stay tuned, like, subscribe if you enjoyed it, and we'll see you next time.